My son came home from school and said, "Daddy, did you know God loves you if you're happy or sad or disappointed? God loves you no matter what." And I thought, well, this is awkward. It's not that the words themselves bother me. See, my son goes to a Christian school, and even though faith is not part of my life, I send him to a school where once a week he must sit quietly and listen to talk of God. How a bearded man with perfect teeth loves him, because apparently it's not enough that this bearded man with shitty teeth loves him too. So I suffer through the protestations they drill into him with a silent smile and no admonitions, biting my tongue and biding my time till the time is right to tell him my side of the story. That God's glory is an allegory at best, a lie at worst. See, I grew up in a church with faithful people, visited steeples each Sunday, my shirt wrinkled, my tie clipped on, avoiding old ladies who loved to fawn over the little ones, running up and down the stairs till my mother wanted to pull her hair out. I was a kid. I didn't know what was still to come. That a day would come when I would hum, vibrate, shake, quake in my skin at the thought of walking into a church. My faith began to list and lurch when I was 7. Thoughts of heaven that once gave comfort switched gears, became fears of a thing I didn't think I deserved. But how could that be? If God is love, and life meant for joy, for love, for laughter, how could anyone deserve hell? My faith fell, and I stopped going soon after. When my parents split, I thought, this is it. Proof that God's a myth. How can life be built on love when our parents can't even live it? As was my habit, I tended to focus on the negative, to give myself every reason to doubt despite my ardent desire to hope. A fire in me that I simultaneously nurtured and choked. It wasn't their fault, and it wasn't mine. Still, though, I wanted to hope. When my dad got sick, I got mad. Angered at the injustice, I hungered for answers, screamed silently at a God I couldn't believe in. Why? And I would try and listen for answers that never came, for words of comfort that never arrived. I would strive to understand while I held my dad's hand and watched him disappear before my always tear-filled eyes. And still, I wanted to hope. And then he died. He wasn't alone. One by one, my family began to drop like flies. Then my friends started dying too. Flying up to heaven, people said, because God was calling them. Then they started dying by their own hands. Lives cut short by despair before they could figure out who they were, because they couldn't stand to be the person the world demanded. And still, I wanted to hope. Time slipped through my hand like a rope, and I became a father to an endless list of questions. How long does she have? Is there nothing we can do? No salve for her hurts, for her soul, no way to make her whole? Does she know that I love her? Does she know that I live in her and through her? Does she know that she is my world, and how impossible it is to find contentment when I don't know was the best and only answer we could get? When our only comfort was and is, she's not gone yet. And now, I just wish I had the capacity to hope. My son came home from school and said, "Daddy, God loves you no matter what." And like a fool, I just smiled and said, "That's cool." But in my head, I would think the things that couldn't be said to his sweet face, that in this place God has no jurisdiction, that each benediction falls on deaf ears or none, that the one they taught him about isn't what they said, that bread is just bread, that blood is just blood, and that's what we share. Because wherever I am, when he looks in the mirror, I'm there. I said none of this, even though I believe it to be true. I will cope with, will suffer through my own faith, my own loss, my own pain. I will cope with my own life and let him make his. I will cope. Because here, inside, I want him to hope.